My name is Henry Miller, but for decades everyone's called me Hank. On the morning my own son turned me into a bank, and for good measure a fool. West Thornton was quiet in that cloudy Saturday in Akron way. Air still, the smell of promised rain. The street wires humming that low note only people who've put in years with the Postal Service learn to hear. I was on the porch, my Cleveland Browns mug steaming, when the phone buzzed with 3 short taps. Blip, blip, blip. I'd learned to dread. I pushed my glasses up and read, slow. Approved, United Airlines, a little over $1,200. Cleveland. 2 minutes later. Bellagio Las Vegas deposit, almost $2,000. Las Vegas. One more sigh. Turo rental, a little over $400. Las Vegas. The mug slid along the iron arm of the chair and made that dry clack that's always sounded like a mailbox lid to me. I didn't even need to open my wallet to know it. My card wasn't there. Jason, my 34-year-old son, had borrowed it 2 days earlier. The same old line about diapers for Emma, my 4-year-old granddaughter. "Dad, just today. I'll pay you back tomorrow," he said in our kitchen, while the late afternoon sun drew golden rectangles across the tiles Linda picked out back in '88. I filed it away, like licking a stamp and trusting the envelope makes it in one piece, and I let it go. Love is a door you leave cracked even when the wind's picking up. I called, voicemail. I texted, "Jason, why are there airfare and a Vegas hotel on my card?" The reply wasn't from Jason. It came from Brittany, girlfriend, fiancé, wife. They change labels like phone cases. "Mr. Miller, relax. You always said you were here to help. It's my birthday. We'll pay you back when we get home. Consider it a present. We deserve a break." We deserve. The word cut like a paper slice, small and deep. If you've ever been treated like a wallet with legs by someone who ought to call you dad, hang with me for about 90 seconds. I'll tell you why I didn't yell, why I didn't drive to Hopkins and drag Jason back by the collar, and how, hours later, with them high above the clouds, go-go in flight, about $60. Flashed, denied. The Bellagio shut its smile, and a gate agent in Las Vegas said a line I never thought I'd hear applied to my own blood. Reservation under investigation. I didn't know, with that first blip, that what I was about to shut off wasn't just a credit card. It was the faucet of disrespect. I'm from Akron, Ohio, mailman for 39 winters, bag on the shoulder, beat-up boots, snow to the shins, bad handwriting, and a patient heart. I learned 2 things delivering letters with purple fingertips. Folks who respect rules sleep easy, and folks who hop fences rip their pants. I'm not much for speeches. I'm a receipts and reports kind of man. Linda, my wife, the woman who laughed at every shape a cloud could make and cooked chili in the same pot I still use, passed in 2016. Since then, the house, brick, a porch with 2 chairs that creak in the breeze, a walnut table we bought out on Route 18 on a Saturday of sales and happy regret, turned into church and confessional. I talk, the wind answers. Her photo on the sideboard, morning light on the glass always tells me, easy. Jason grew up here, playing stickball in the alley, begging for ice cream money at Mary Coyle. He's always been in a hurry for a shortcut, treating a twig like a fence, landing on the other side and pretending there's no toll. Brittany came in with glitter dust and promises of the good life. Big sunglasses, smiling, making stories out of things she can't pay for. Me, a fool in the way of a man who loves. I helped when I could. Co-signed a silver Malibu, covered about $350 a month for a stretch that turned into way too long. Added their lines to my cell plan just till we get organized. Dropped about $600 into a tired mattress when Emma was born, and diapers felt like a nightmare. I did what dads do. And yeah, I kept mixing help with no boundaries. When Linda left, I made myself my own general. Everything on time, everything controlled, nothing out of place. Jason always figured I was coldly efficient where he wanted chaos. Maybe I was. Maybe I skipped the speech and handed over a card when what I should have handed over were rules. That Saturday in June, the chase pings reminded me that if I didn't close the fence, the cow was gonna eat somebody's garden. I stood up, pulled on my denim jacket. laced the old sneakers that still smelled like Cuyahoga Valley rain, grabbed the keys to my Ford Escape, and headed to the Chase branch downtown on Main Street. The bank smelled like fresh paint and stale coffee. The manager, Carla, 40-something, eyes that say Saturdays come with stories, looked up. "Mr. Miller, what happened?" I showed her the transactions on the app. Brittany's messages said, "My son borrowed my card for diapers and ended up in Las Vegas." She didn't widen her eyes. I liked that. She typed, printed, explained, "Block the card, file the dispute, wait on the chargeback, here's your case file." I asked for more. "Can we close this account and issue a new card with a new number right now?" "We can." The new plastic slid out of the printer like the future spit out. I activated it right there, changed the passwords on the bank and my email, pulled Apple Pay off Jason's old iPhone that, yeah, once upon a time I'd added just to help out. I walked out with a clear folder, 3 stapled pages, and a case number I won't read out loud. What I felt was like a small team winning a big tournament. It's not about the trophy. It's about looking in the mirror without shame. From the branch, I went to the Summit County Sheriff. Sergeant Patel, patient with a mustache straight as a ruler, typed my statement like a grocery list, no extra adjectives to get in the way. I said I didn't want my son arrested. I wanted a record and consequences. "Do you authorize us to forward this to the airport unit? Sometimes the airlines freeze reservations." "I do." Back in the car, my phone sang a tune that made me feel pity and want to laugh at the same time. "Declined. Go-Go in-flight, about $60. Then United Wi-Fi, about 40. Then beverage cart, around 24. I pictured the flight attendant saying, "Your card didn't go through." That professional smile you learn behind the world's front desk. Underneath, 22 missed calls, Jason, Brittany, Mom Brittany. A Las Vegas number I'd later learn belonged to a gate agent with a movie cop name, R. Collins. Messages, "Have you lost your mind?" "They're humiliating me on the flight." "Fix this now, Hank. I'm going to sue you." The Akron sky started to spit. Rain drummed the Escape's roof like impatient fingers. What I didn't know was that a little after 3:15 that afternoon, when deposit reversal hit, just shy of $2,000 from the Bellagio, Brittany was standing at a marble counter, a manager peering over the glass with the look of someone who's seen this movie. "Ma'am, your card's been flagged." And that right then, the return booking with United picked up a yellow tag, "Payment under investigation." And that about an hour later, the first call from Harry Reid would light up my phone. R. Collins asking, "Mr. Miller, do you confirm fraud?" I said yes, not out of meanness, out of rules. I'm not a man of shouting. I'm a man of reports, receipts, and rubber stamps. At home, the walnut table took my weight when I sat down. Clear folder open, a pen full of fresh ink, an old steady head. I looked at the sideboard, Linda's photo with that smile that always said, "It'll work out." "It's okay," I told no one. "I'm doing the right thing." By mid-afternoon, the real rain came. In the same breath, the Bellagio reversal hit. Then another wave of messages. "The hotel won't give us the room. You're cruel, Hank." Brittany, "Dad, you didn't have to do this." Jason, "You've always been this way, controlling." Mom Brittany, I did a postal count breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I stood up, went to the metal file cabinet, pulled Linda's blue folder. Label said lawyer in her handwriting. I called Diane Porter, who's known me since I signed my first will. "Hank, I got your email," she said, that owned kind of calm in her voice. "We'll line all this up. And please, don't blame yourself for what you didn't do." Before we hung up, I decided something I'd been towing around for 4 years. Pulled 2 knots at once. I called the carrier. "I want to remove 2 lines today. Reason, Mr. Miller? Fraud and abuse." Silence on the other end. A few clicks. "Do you confirm?" "I confirm." Done. If the beverage cart wanted to cast me as the villain, the bill cleared my name. Had I co-signed the Malibu? I had. Could I end the game at the next renewal? I could. Note to self, when September hits, no. I set a pot of chili going on reflex. Put the Guardians game on just to hear people noise. Between at-bats, I pictured the plane. Belts clicked, altitude, the cart rolling. Jason trying a joke. My dad shut the cart off. Crooked grin, eyes begging for a shortcut. In Las Vegas, the scene I've watched in a dozen movies reran without a new plot. Carousel, bags, red dots blinking on the board. Bellagio? No, ma'am. Where'd they sleep? I don't know. Brittany swore it was a dive on Fremont Street. Maybe it was. I didn't wish them harm. I wished them a lesson. Sunday? Akron's humid heat hit my face like an old bathroom hand dryer. I grabbed the Beacon Journal off the walk. Rubber ducks on the front page, a festival in Highland Square. I thought of Emma, thought of ice cream at Mary Coyle. Instead of footsteps, I heard suitcase wheels scraping up my sidewalk. Brittany in front, huge sunglasses, red face. Jason behind, wrinkled t-shirt, that jaw muscle jumping. The same one I've seen since he was 5 and lying with a grown-up face. Brittany's mother, Cheryl, trailing a vanilla cloud of perfume. You ruined our birthday. Brittany started without a good morning, finger in my chest. They pulled us out of the Uber line, the Bellagio canceled. We slept in a dump. And today, United said our return didn't exist. Do you have any idea what that's like? Jason stayed quiet for a second that weighed years. Dad, it didn't have to be like this. We were going to pay. Come in, I said. Let's talk like adults. The room smelled like wood and old coffee. I sat at the table and pulled the folder closer. I laid out the bank report, screenshots of the messages, the case file, the receipt from the sheriff's office. You committed fraud, I said without raising my voice. You stole my card. You used it without permission. I reported it, not to punish, to protect. Cheryl clutched her purse. Henry, they're young. They get tangled up. Why go this far? Cheryl, I said, when your husband died and you needed a check so the urn wouldn't wait. I wrote one. Because family asks with respect. What you did was a break-in. Jason tried a sentence. I just wanted. I know what you wanted, a shortcut. You ripped your pants. 2 firm knocks at the door. I opened it. Sergeant Patel and a ponytailed officer with the look of someone who doesn't swallow sugar-coated stories. Mr. Miller, we're here to make sure things stay civil, he said. I'm not filing charges today, I said, looking at the 3 of them. But I have conditions. I pulled a sheet I'd drafted the night before with Diane. 3 clear items, no maybes. 1. You owe me just under $7 grand. 2 airline tickets a little over $1,200 each. Fees, nearly $2,000 reversed by the Bellagio, a little over $400 for Turo. Attorney time, gas back and forth to the station. 2. 90 days to pay, every other week with receipts. 3. After that, I file in Summit County small claims. At the bottom, a line Linda would have written if it were her hand. No more loans, no cards, no cell plan. No cell plan? Brittany laughed, thin and shaky. Right on cue, her phone chirped, no service. She looked at me like I'd shut off the sun. I took a breath. I'm not God, I'm a father. The sergeant scribbled, no complaint today in his pad. They left without a thank you or a sorry. When the door closed, I set my hand on the table. The wall clock ticked seconds like drops. I made more coffee. The thing you do when the world pokes you. Monday, Market Street. Old brick building, creaky stairs. Diane's office. Coffee better than mine. A crooked frame with a Harvard diploma that looks like Emma drew it. A draft in the hall like a school in the 70s. Diane said what I needed to hear, and what I already knew. We're going to build a legal wall, Hank. Not to push them away, to hold the house up. We sat and prepped the filing in case those 90 days turned to smoke. We adjusted my will, the house through a trust straight to Emma, managed by me while I'm alive, and then by my cousin Dan in Toledo. Steady head, light hand. Jason and Brittany? Benefits only through Emma's needs, school, health, books. No magic card, no shortcut. I walked out lighter. Not because I like ink on signature lines, but because from my mailman days on I know this much. An envelope without a stamp doesn't go anywhere. It needs the postmark. The first 2 weeks were tense silence. The kind that sounds like a washer thumping cloth against a tub. No payment, 2 messages full of insults, a photo in a Cuyahoga Falls garage with boxes stacked like stacking excuses was a job. I noted it in the notebook and moved on. Week 3, I filed in small claims, a little over $7,200 with fees. Hearing set for the 9th on a gray Tuesday. Room 2B, Judge Harmon. Bald, readers on the tip of his nose, the face of a teacher who gave up asking an 8th grade class for quiet in the late 90s. I liked him. Day of, Brittany in a too tight blue blazer with smudged mascara, Jason last in, hands in pockets, hair like grass cut in a rush. I brought a neat stack of paper like a mailman who finishes his route. The judge listened. I spoke the way I learned to speak when Linda was in the hospital and I needed the nurse to get it fast. Chronological, clean, no fussy commas. I handed over transactions, screenshots, the police report. He raised an eyebrow twice. Once when he read, "Consider it a present. We deserve a break," and saw my no right under it. And again when he hit, "Go in flight, about $60, denied." "Mrs. Brittany," he said with the voice of a man who's done this before. "Here you ask for a present. Here Mr. Miller says no. Here you use the card anyway. What do you call that?" "Poor judgment," she murmured. About a quarter hour later, judgment. For the plaintiff, payment in 60 days. Failure triggers wage garnishment up to the legal limit. The gavel dropped like a stone in a still pond. I didn't applaud. I breathed. Did they pay? Stumbling. First week, nothing. Second, about 400. Then, silence. So we did what the paper allows. Garnishment. 2.5 months later, the money started to drip like a leaky faucet. A hair over 100 here, just under 100 there. A couple hundred on a good week. I didn't laugh, but I slept better. At the same time, I sent a certified letter to the Malibu's lender. I'm not renewing, not co-signing, not paying. At renewal, my name came off the loan. "It'll mess up their credit, Mr. Miller." "Their credit isn't my fault," I said. Gravity. While the courts did their slow, clattering work, the town did what small towns do. It talked. Parma Community Board, Cuyahoga Falls Moms, Highland Square happenings, you know the type. A stock photo of a casino, a vague rant about controlling elders, a broken heart emoji, a Linda who isn't my Linda calling me a bitter old man. I didn't bite. Diane sent the admin screenshots and a letter, firm without being foolish, saying in so many words, "Factually false claims that indirectly identify a private party. Please remove. Legal options under review." No apology showed up. The post just vanished. Sometimes the best headline is the blank space. The exposure that mattered happened in room 2B. The town saw it, and the right people heard it. Judge Harmon, he smiles with his mouth only, said a line I wish I'd said first. "Credit isn't love and love isn't credit. Mix the two and you get this." Out in the hallway, an older gentleman who smelled like black tea and church pews stopped me. "Hank, my son-in-law pulled something similar. I didn't have the guts." I shook his hand. "You can use my mess. Start with a no." Back home, I sanded down the edges. I shut off the cell plan that wasn't mine, for good. Changed every password and locked my cards in a little metal box with a key. For the few who needed my number, I wrote it on paper and handed it over. Emma learned to drop coins into a cookie tin. "Grandpa, can I have ice cream?" "You can, but today we're paying with cash." She laughed and gave me 3 coins and a wrinkled bill worth more than any United Mile. There was hard stuff too. Brittany served me a side-eye at Copley Thanksgiving, and her mother, Cheryl, said with her mouth full of turkey, "Some people just don't like a party." I didn't explain the difference between a party and a spree. I cut the pumpkin pie and served a thank you. And yeah, Sunday night stung sometimes. I'd look at the couch and see little Jason asking for, Just 10 more minutes of TV. That's life. You ache during the minutes you saved without knowing it. One September Saturday, with the air smelling like wet leaves, I was fixing a slat on the backyard fence. That 8th screw always works loose before the 10th, when a tired Malibu pulled to the curb. Jason got out slow. No blazer, no pose, no Brittany. The look of a man who got whipped by the truth and decided to stand up anyway. "Dad?" I wiped my hands on an old rag and faced him. I came alone. Silence between two generations that love each other and missed each other. He spoke first, rough, like he'd forgotten the language. "I screwed up. Vegas was my idea. I wanted to give Brittany a life I don't work to afford. And I figured, you've always hauled me out of the hole, since high school, since forever. I got used to it." "Life is holes," I said, no poetry. "Emma doesn't need Vegas. She needs a dad." He swallowed hard. I saw Linda standing behind him, invisible, arms crossed, eyebrow raised. "I finished paying," he said, pulling an envelope from his pocket. "Last installment, and I picked up a second job at the Walmart warehouse at night. We're stepping out of your shadow." The envelope had weight in my hand. I opened the door. "Come in, coffee's on." We sat at the walnut table that's witnessed so much. Good chili, bad letters, cold rulings, and now a sorry I needed to hear. Jason looked at Linda's photo and said a sentence that broke me and mended me at the same time. "I miss her." "Me too," I said, "and she'd forgive you." "I'm learning. I don't turn boundaries into virtue or revenge into a trophy. What I did was draw, with a blue pen and old courage, a line I should have drawn years back. I don't take pleasure knowing a flight attendant collected a declined card midair, or a Bellagio manager shut a trained smile on Brittany's face. But that September night, when Emma came barreling down the hall and jumped into my arms yelling, "Grandpa Hank!" and Jason smiled, sheepish, behind her, I knew some truths only show up when you stop being scared of losing who you love. I lost a little. I gained respect. These days, my card lives in a metal box with a key in the second dresser drawer. The cell plan? Everyone pays their own. Emma's trust is open, with about $5,000 to start, thanks to selling tools I never used. Managed by rules, not a wet finger in the wind. Diane and I tied off the loose ends. An adjustment here, another there. I still get the occasional blip from the bank and my heart squeezes. Old men only sleep easy after a double check. But there are sunny Sundays. One was out in Cuyahoga Valley, on the deck by the Boston Store Visitor Center. Emma got her sneakers wet in the river and I let her, and when she asked for ice cream I said, "Sure, but can we pay with cash?" She handed me a crumpled bill and 3 coins and I understood in a silly, pretty way that maybe that's what raising a kid is. Teaching the right transaction for the right want. The next Thanksgiving at Cheryl's place, someone set an envelope by my plate. Inside, a card in Brittany's handwriting. "Thank you for taking care of Emma like no one else. We're going to do better." I read it, tucked it away, and served salad without a speech. The trick in life is knowing when to talk and when to hush. If you're a father, grandfather, uncle, if you feel your wallet turning into a target for folks who confuse love with credit, listen to an old mailman. Cutting off the card doesn't cut the bond. It unties the knot. My revenge, if that's what you want to call it, was giving the weight of responsibility back to the people who tried to dump the whole pack on my shoulders. In the end, everybody slept better. Except the Bellagio. Didn't get our money that night. I still keep the clear folder with that case file from June. The number I won't read out loud. Not out of spite. Out of memory. When the sun hits the living room window and runs a gold streak across Linda's photo, I ask, soft, "Would you have done the same?" I like to think so. She always said love is saying no when yes would wreck the place. And me, Hank from Akron, I finally learned to say no in time to hear a better yes from my granddaughter. "Grandpa, come play?" Then I turn off the phone, pocket the wallet, and go. Because that's a vacation. No Las Vegas, no Wi-Fi, and no card. Subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about the story in the comments. See you in the next one.